Leftist Owl wants to talk about why religious people aren't actually crazy. I'm so fucking down for that. Let's go. So you have to join the Discord and then join the voice channel, and then we can talk about it. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Starting off, I just want to say I might be a little nervous.
Okay.
You're a content creator I respect and watch occasionally. But I just want to know what, like, do you think that, like, all religious thought, regardless of belief, is dangerous?
Absolutely. Well, not so you use the word dangerous. I would say harmful. Dangerous has more stank on it. Harmful. It's individually harmful, or it's depending on, it could be harmful to you, your family, your parish, whatever. Yeah. So yes.
Regardless of the belief.
Yeah.
Okay. What I would hold the position that there are beliefs that are harmful, but that no belief individually can be harmful without a given context or a given set of circumstances that make it harmful.
Like being a human being that exists, and then enacts those beliefs in real life.
Well, so
yeah, they have fucking context. They're not in a vacuum. They're human beings, man.
What I'm saying is that certain beliefs don't tend to show themselves within human action a lot of the time.
Not true. They show themselves all the time. They are rooted deeply into their whole fucking psyche. Every day, it's baked into them. Are you kidding me? Are you an atheist? Like, I mean, are you?
Yes, I'm.
Have you always been an atheist, or are you an apostate? I meant to say apostate.
Apostate.
Okay, so this is why you don't fucking see it. Because it's normal. It's normalized to you. You see these behaviors, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what a normal person is like. It's fucking cooked your brains.
No, that's the thing. I agree that there is harm in religion and religious institutions.
Any supernatural
I just don't think
belief.
I just don't think any supernatural belief is inherently harmful.
Absolutely is. Believing in untrue things about the world is bad for you. It's obviously to varying degrees. It's not like going to ruin your life if you think the earth is flat necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's not, or if you believe in ghosts, your life isn't going to be torn apart, but that's bad for you. Because now you can't, like, for instance, just believing in ghosts. The process of mourning is entirely changed. The process of, like, understanding your place in the world and how death works. Like, think about how scary that is. Like, just the fear people feel about that. Like, it's just crazy. It fucks all of you up. That's harmful.
Not necessarily.
Yes, necessarily.
Christians still mourn just
Christians mourn without
atheists.
Christians don't mourn as much as atheists. Christians mourn so differently, and with terrible mental health practices. This isn't reasonable to say that, like, oh yeah, a Christian deals with the loss of a loved one properly. Are you kidding me?
You don't think a Christian can?
No.
Can.
Not through their Christian faith. It would be a secular, like, mental health.
Well, sure, not through their Christian faith, but, like, they can seek secular means.
Okay, so yep, you agree with me. There you go. Easy. So that had nothing to do with their religious faith. That's a secular means through which they achieve mental health. Better mental health. Like, that isn't...
But they could also cope in religious ways.
So they could cope in religious ways, but they couldn't mentally heal in religious ways. This isn't a thing.
I mean, how do you know one would be mentally healed? Like, how do you draw that line?
Like, it's just the way it is, man. Like, I don't know. I guess I don't know how to define mentally healed for sure. But we can see in populations of, like, Christian people when they talk about these kinds of things, we can, like, have you ever talked to, like, a religious person about their issue with, like, bereavement, for instance? Like, they're just unhinged. It just doesn't ever make any sense. There's, like, oh, they're in a better place. They have this vision of heaven or hell. Like, everyone they love also, of course, goes to heaven no matter what. But then, like, it's like, if they reconcile with the idea that, like, but this person could actually be in hell, they just lose their shit. They can't. They don't actually have these conversations. When you bring up these things, like, they're not healthily talked about. Like, this isn't mental health. The Christian population is well known for burying this kind of shit.
My argument isn't with like institutionalized religion. I can agree that that's very harmful. I just don't think that
Where do you get your religion from?
from religious, well, typically from religious institutions.
Okay, so do you agree that people's like mental health problems stem from their upbringing? Like most of them. Obviously, there's cases where it's just something else. But like, yeah, you get fucked up from your upbringing, and we have to. So this is part of it. This is what I'm talking about. How
no.
And this is
agree.
generational, right? But But then you're saying that like the person individually that is affected by these things can, in a vacuum, themselves be a sane operator of a human body when they just fucking can't. They've been poisoned by it. It's too late. I know
plenty of sane people that are Christians.
No, you don't. They believe in insane things. You have normalized insane. Yes, they're insane. If I said something equally insane to them and I walked around and proselytized it the way they fucking do, like it wouldn't work. It's insane. These beliefs are normalized to you. Like I said, this is the same way. When I talk to a homophobe and they normalize homophobic language or a racist and they normalize just the way that they operate, it's the same exact thing. It is baked into them that this is normal. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no, like, the thinking isn't even flawed. They're just like, oh, well, I don't say the N-word, but I still cross the street. At least I'm not racist, though. Like, this is the same thing. When you normalize abusive behavior, when you normalize abusive thought patterns, you just fucking fall into it. It's the same thing. You're doing it
and
right
my argument,
now.
And my argument isn't that there are no harmful beliefs or harm in religion. My argument is that not all religious faith is harmful.
All religious faith is met through religion.
Not necessarily.
Yes, necessarily.
There are a lot of spiritualists that go out on their own. So
So is your example that you can conceive of like a kind TikTok witch?
What do you mean?
Like what are we talking about here? Who you're making like this is God of the Gaps, but for the fucking believer. You're like, well, I can conceive of a person who I would personally like. So that means that whatever the crazy things they believe aren't harmful. It's like
that are Christians.
Yep, I know Christians that haven't like murdered people
just fine.
Yep. What do you mean function just fine?
That have relatively rational beliefs and
relatively rational is not my bar. Wholly rational is my bar. Wholly rational. Observe the world, understand how it works. We're not in the fucking Middle Ages.
Do you agree that rationality is a process, not a state of being?
Rationality is a process. The rational world exists because we view it through a process. Like we can only be humans experiencing this, so we would call it rational.
Do you think there's a capital T truth, or like that there's like
what does that mean?
And there's
about what
inherent truth like that we can attain, or that we can have.
There are true
knowledge.
laws like physics. There aren't like cosmic truths. Whatever you're talking about, like that's so anthropocentric. Like there are humans exist, and we have our personal ethics based on, our evolution and stuff in societies. Right. But like that's not like a cosmic. Nothing about us creates cosmic truth. There are other species that exist certainly within the universe that we can't even comprehend that have more sophisticated or different ways of looking at ethics like this. But like so, no is the answer. There's no consciousness in the universe to dictate something like that. It's a natural, just existent, emergent universe.
Mm-hmm.
Did I lose you?
No, sorry, I'm thinking.
What are you hung up on? So it's hard to talk about this with people that have it so close to them because they're like, well, my grandma's not a fucked up person, but actually grandma's been fucked up. All of our grandmas are fucked up. All of our grandpas, all of our parents, they're all fucked up. Everybody has trauma all the way down. If you can agree that the religion, Christianity bad. Yeah, we agree. But like on a micro level, individual families operate through Christian conservatism. Whether they're secular or not, they do this sometimes because they buy into this. Their parents had households a certain way. Men are supposed to act this way. Women are supposed to act this way. Like, our biggest challenge is religious conservatism in the fight for leftism, and it sometimes manifests in secular households because they've latched onto these things, and they've only learned it from this religion, and that you have a soft spot for is like having a soft spot for misogyny, because this is where they fucking learn it from.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the problem more so than just religious practice is being critically engaging with what you're taught and what you grow up with.
Mm-hmm. And do you think it's going to be harder for them or easier for them to critically engage with reality if you acquiesce to the fantasy of religion, or if you tell them, no, actually physical reality is real?
I'm sorry, say again?
Do you think it would help or harm a believer for you to be openly antagonistic toward their fantasy shit? Do you think if it was more normalized to not accept Christian belief, we would have a better world?
Yes.
Okay.
In the sense that we don't teach it to kids.
Or anybody. I mean, you don't have to, like, hide it, but I mean, like, you don't have to teach it to anybody.
Well,
like, there's a big difference between saying, like, this religion exists, like we do with, like, Hindu over here. We just go, like, oh, that's a thing.
Yeah. I still think it's valuable to teach people about it, but not to indoctrinate people into it.
For sure. And so, just agreeing with that, and if I ask you why, you'll make my argument for me because you're an atheist.
I think I would make a more nuanced take in that.
What would be the nuanced take?
I think dogmatism.
It's not just dogmatism,
people,
though. That's wrong.
It is dogmatism, because
dogmatism
again,
is a big problem for sure. Obviously,
you can have secular people believe very dogmatic things, and sure, especially in society, and that's part of my point. And
that's not the only problem I have with it. You're mistaking my position. It's not the fucking thing I'm saying. Like, I agree dogma is bad and that it can be a secular phenomenon, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that supernatural beliefs are inherently harmful to a person and then the people that they interact with to varying degrees. But, like, a person simply believing in Noah's Ark, they just stop believing in fucking reality, and it makes them inform, like, that one topic can make someone vote Republican sometimes. That, like, young earth creationists, they vote in a block together because they are only represented by the right. But on that fucking topic, they go to fucking ARC centers and shit. Like, this is not. Would you agree? This is not.
Would you agree? Would you agree that there are Christians that will live with a belief, but live as though that belief doesn't exist?
Yeah, cognitive dissonance is real. Yeah, for sure. There's lots of Christians that vote for lefty stuff. There's lots of Christians that say they can be leftists, and then it's like, well, how do you want to organize your family? I'm like, well, the men should be in charge. Well, no, that's fucking hierarchy, dog. Like,
I haven't met someone that far gone.
I literally have multiple. Like, it happens all the time. They're just fucking brain dead. It depends on what level you're asking the question. At some point, you're gonna say something to me so fucked up it doesn't work with our fucking political beliefs. It just doesn't. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't even say it's beyond political beliefs for me. These are ethical beliefs that I have for leftism. Like, I don't really give a fuck about politics.
My broader point is that a lot of the problems you have with, like, irrational thought have more to do with people not critically engaging with their beliefs and not. No,
you could critically engage as a Christian with your belief that, like, that heaven is real, and it won't make you rational or well-rounded on this topic of death. Like, you'll have a fucked up relationship with that specific process of life because you don't engage with reality.
I don't know. I can't really speak to that. I don't, my point is that people work a lot differently and in different circumstances, and engage with their beliefs so differently, and that we shouldn't treat just all supernatural belief as harmful,
Every
but rather
supernatural belief is harmful.
but rather take into account what they believe and how they act out those beliefs.
All of them are harmful to varying degrees. Like, they're just all harmful. There's not one fake thing about the world you can believe that is a good thing to believe. Like, it's just being super nice to these people because you feel bad or something. Like, you're just like, it's impolite.
I'm not being nice to them.
It's just like,
I tell my friends all the time that some of the shit they say is stupid.
of course it's stupid, but it's like, but what? I can coexist with a Christian, but it's harmful for them to believe the Christianity. It's harmful for them
that
to
I can
believe.
agree with. I think
harmful
Christianity
to the
broadly
individual.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's harmful to them to believe in any bit of it, no matter how hard or soft a Christian they are. It's like, what do you want someone to be, a little Mormon? Like, no, I don't want you to be a little Mormon. That's crazy.
Oh no, I think Mormonism and Scientology should be disbanded.
Do you think Christianity should be disbanded?
I think it's softened to a point where we should definitely get rid of the social normalization of teaching kids Christianity, but I don't think it as an
tax the
institution.
churches, get rid of these motherfuckers.
I will say though, on the topic of Christianity, I think the Catholic Church should definitely be disbanded. But Christianity broadly, I think, stretches too far and is too mellowed out at this point to really.
So you use normalized behavior. Yeah, you use normalized language for this. This is why it's different for you, because there's just more of them.
It's not that there are more of them. It's that there's not necessarily a singular institutional power that you can point to that controls Christianity and Christian thought and like you can with Mormonism or Scientology.
I mean, sort of.
Like I said, the Vatican can go. Like that's definitely one instance of a Christian sect being
Like,
cult-like.
You're talking about centralization, I guess, but like.
That's the thing is like Christianity at this point.
You think they're like benign or something? Christians are mostly chill.
No. I don't think they're benign. I think that their institutional power isn't as direct.
Think Christian institutional power is, name one president that hasn't been like, I'm a Christian.
Well, they say they're Christians, but they don't act under any.
They say they're Christians.
Any specific directive from like.
They really do. Literally,
church.
Joe Biden has Catholic shit in his services. Donald Trump has evangelicals. Barack Obama had his fucking church in Chicago. It was a whole fucking thing about that. George Bush had the church, the Baptist church down south. His father had it too. Clinton had it. Holy shit. They all have it. Every single one of them. They all invite the Pope. They all go do this shit. Like, it's just crazy to say this thing. It's just so, like, why are you a leftist? You have an understanding of systemics to be a leftist. You're like, oh, well, capitalism is the problem. You got there. How do you show your work on that? Do you not have any other systems in the United States that you think are affecting this? Christianity is at the heart of fucking American capitalism.
I'm not discrediting Christianity for having power in the world. It's just that there's no.
It's hegemonized. White Christian men have most of the power in the world. I understand that,
but you can't. I don't think there's a policy you can put in place to. Or like an act you can do to bring down Christianity. It has to be.
That's not what I'm saying. What the fuck? I didn't say anything about legislation.
Oh well, I was talking about stuff like legislatively. Like I think we should actually like intervene in terms of like the Scientology and Mormonism.
So if you want to legislate, you'd have to get rid of their tax exemption. That would solve it. They'd stop a lot of the money racket shit. Would stop. The Joel Osteens of the world would fall apart. But what you need to do is stop letting it have. You can't let these people run on like Christian doctrine. You can't let them involve it in politics, and you also can't enforce
I
it in
agree.
schools, which is a thing that they do.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of a lot of it. But what mostly will happen, the best thing you could do is just educate people and stop being kind to these opinions. Like, stop saying, oh, it's totally normal to be that. It's not normal to be a Christian. It is normal to be an atheist.
I wouldn't go that far, but
I would, because I'm fucking right. It's not normal to be a Christian. It's an abnormal belief that is given to you only through the act of indoctrination or brainwashing. Like, you cannot just fucking... You do not come to this naturally.
I can accept that. From that perspective.
We should all be anti-theists. The same way that we're anti-capitalist and anti-fucking patriarchy, anti-racist. It's the same. These are pillars of the problem of the right wing.
I think, but would you say it's still advantageous to accept Christians into our fold so long as they agree with us on bringing down the institutions that
Like, like
support
in
Christianity
America, in real life,
that,
yes. Yeah. But they're
okay.
bad leftists. They're bad leftists. They are. They appeal to one specific hierarchy above all else. And if it came to it, they would agree with that. They would agree with that thing. Anytime you ask them about this, you're going to teach your children about Christ? Well, yeah, of course I would. Well, that's fucking unethical to me.
All right, well that's all I had. Thanks for the talk.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you coming by. I mean, I just don't think there's just not a supernatural belief that you can have that is going to not harm you.
That's fair. I don't know. I get where you're coming from, and I used to be in that used to be my position.
Yeah, but you were, because you were an apostate and you're like angry at the process of that. Like, not because like, ethically speaking, it's like, it's unethical to make people believe in untrue things about their world. We have one existence. We are monkeys on a space rock. One time. And they fucking throw it all away. It's deeply unethical. It's disgusting. And they tell their kids that, like, God's watching, you're going to go to hell, you're inherently sinful, etc.
Oh man, my stepdad while I was in Poland called me to have a theological debate. I was just like, "Come on, please stop."
Yeah, it just doesn't work. Well, I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, appreciate having me on.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.